My wife cried. I didn't mean to cheat. I wanted to believe her. I trusted her with my heart, my home, and our baby. Then the DNA test arrived. It said Noah was not mine. Everything I knew about my life was a lie. I stood in silence, holding the proof, as she trembled and confessed everything she hid for years. That was the moment something inside me went quiet. Not angry, not loud, just done. Because the DNA test was still folded in my jacket pocket, and it didn't care about tears. For most of my adult life, I thought I had won. That's the best way I can describe it. I met my wife, Emma, when I was 27. She laughed at my dumb jokes. She remembered little things. She made me feel chosen. We married 3 years later. Small wedding, backyard, string lights, the kind of day people call perfect. I believed them. Our life was simple. 2 jobs, 1 dog, Sunday grocery trips, arguments about nothing, dishes, laundry, whose turn it was to wake up early. Normal, safe, real. Then she got pregnant. I remember the night she told me. She came home with this weird smile, eyes glassy, like she was holding a secret too big for her body. I'm late, she whispered. I laughed, hugged her, spun her around the kitchen like an idiot. I cried harder than I ever had. I wanted that baby instantly. I wanted the life that came with it. So when things started feeling off, I ignored it. Emma became distant during the pregnancy. Not cold, just distracted. Always on her phone, quick to lock the screen. Late nights, running errands. New hobbies, new friends I never met. I told myself I was paranoid. Don't be that guy, I thought. She's pregnant. She's tired. Still, something felt misaligned, like a picture frame slightly crooked on the wall. Our son, Noah, was born on a rainy Tuesday morning. The kind of rain that feels symbolic. I held him first, tiny fingers wrapped around mine. I whispered promises I fully meant. Emma watched us from the bed, smiling, crying, but she wouldn't meet my eyes. The doubts didn't hit me right away. They crept in slowly, subtle, cowardly. It was little things. Noah's hair was darker than mine. His eyes didn't match either of us. The nurses said genetics were weird. Emma said I was overthinking. You're his father, she said sharply once. Too sharply. That night, I lay awake staring at the ceiling. Why would she snap like that? I asked myself. Weeks passed. Sleepless nights, diapers, bottles, life blurred. Then one afternoon, while Emma was showering, her phone buzzed on the counter. I wasn't snooping. I swear I wasn't. It just lit up. A name I didn't recognize. Mark. The preview said, I keep thinking about him. Does he look like me? My stomach dropped so fast. I felt dizzy. I didn't open it. I didn't need to. My hands were shaking too badly anyway. When she came out, wrapped in a towel, humming like nothing was wrong, I just stared at her. What? She asked. Who's Mark? Her smile froze. Just for a second. Work, she said. Too fast. I nodded, pretended to believe her. That night, I didn't sleep at all. I tried to confront her calmly days later. You've been distant, I said. Is something going on? She sighed like I was exhausting. You're imagining things. I wanted to believe her. God, I did. But the pit in my chest grew heavier every day. The breaking point came when Noah was 3 months old. We were at my parents' house. My mom held him up to the light, smiling. He doesn't look like you at all, she said casually. He's cute though. Emma laughed too loud. I didn't. That night, I Googled something I never thought I would. How accurate are at-home DNA tests? My finger hovered over the order button for a long time. If you order this, there's no going back, I told myself. I clicked anyway. The test arrived in a plain envelope. I hid it in my car for days. Took it out. Put it back. Felt like a monster for even considering it. One night, while Emma was out with friends, I finally did it. Swabbed Noah's cheek gently while he slept. Swabbed mine. I apologized to him out loud. My voice cracked. I'm sorry if I'm wrong. I'm sorry if I ever doubted you. Then I mailed it. The wait was torture. Emma noticed something was off with me. Asked if I was okay. I said I was tired. That wasn't a lie. Every notification made my heart jump. Every day felt longer than the last. When the email finally came, I couldn't open it right away. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at my phone. Whatever this says will change everything. I opened it. The words blurred at first. Then, they burned. Probability of paternity, 0%. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I laughed. A dry, broken sound that scared even me. I folded the printed results and slipped them into my jacket pocket. Emma came home an hour later. She kissed me on the cheek, asked what was for dinner. I looked at her and realized I didn't recognize the woman standing in my kitchen. "Sit down," I said. That's when she started crying, and that's when she said, "I didn't mean to cheat." She said it like an accident, like she tripped and fell into someone else's bed. "I didn't mean to," she repeated, sobbing harder. "It just happened." I stood there, jacket still on, DNA results heavy in my pocket. My heart felt hollow, like someone had scooped everything out and left the shell behind. "How long?" I asked. She hesitated. That pause told me more than any confession ever could. "Since before the wedding," she whispered. That sentence landed harder than the test results. Before the wedding. I gripped the back of the chair to steady myself. The room felt too small, too quiet. "So Noah." My voice cracked. "He's not mine." She shook her head, crying uncontrollably now. "I didn't know for sure. I swear. I thought there was a chance." I pulled the folded paper from my pocket and placed it on the table between us. 0%, I said. Calm, too calm. There was no chance. She collapsed into the chair, face in her hands. "I was going to tell you." "When?" I asked. "After college tuition? After he called me dad for 20 years? She didn't answer. I sat across from her, studying the woman I had trusted with my entire life. The woman who slept next to me every night, who let me hold that baby, who watched me fall in love with a child that wasn't mine. "Who is he?" I asked. She sniffed. "Mark. From work." Of course it was work. "How long did it last?" "On and off," she admitted. "Years. Years. Plural." I nodded slowly. Each answer felt like another nail sealing something shut inside me. "Does he know?" I asked. She hesitated again, then nodded. "He knows Noah might be his." Might. That word made my stomach churn. "So what was the plan?" I asked. "Just let me raise him?" She looked up at me then, eyes red, desperate. "You're a better father than he ever could be," she said. "You love him. You're already his dad." I stood up so fast my chair scraped loudly across the floor. "No," I said. "I was lied to. That's not love. That's theft." She flinched like I slapped her. That night, I didn't sleep in our bed. I packed a bag and left, drove aimlessly until the sun came up, parked somewhere quiet and just stared out the windshield. I thought about Noah, his tiny fingers, the way he fell asleep on my chest, the way I'd already memorized his cries. Was it wrong to still love him? I wondered. The next morning, my phone exploded with messages, calls, voicemails, apologies, promises, excuses. I didn't answer any of them. Instead, I called a lawyer. The weeks that followed were surreal, like living someone else's life. Emma moved out, told everyone it was mutual. I didn't correct her. I didn't care what story she told anymore. The lawyer confirmed what I already feared. Legally, Noah wasn't mine. I had no rights unless I fought for them, and I wasn't sure I could. Not because I didn't love him, but because every time I saw his face, I saw the lie behind it. Mark reached out to me once. A long message, awkward, apologetic, full of, "I never meant for this." I didn't respond. Emma begged me to reconsider, to stay involved, to be a family. I told her something I'd been holding in for weeks. "You didn't just cheat on me," I said. "You rewrote my reality." She cried again. I didn't. The court process was brutal, cold, paperwork heavy, stripped of emotion. Exactly the opposite of how it felt inside me. In the end, I signed away my parental rights. That was the hardest part. The day I handed Noah back for the last time. He was almost 6 months old. He smiled at me, grabbed my finger. I kissed his forehead and whispered goodbye. Then I walked away before I could change my mind. Months passed. I moved into a small apartment. Quiet, empty, peaceful in a way that hurt. I started therapy. Said things out loud I didn't know how to carry alone. Learned that betrayal doesn't just break. Trust it fractures identity. Some nights, I still dreamed about Noah. Woke up reaching for someone who wasn't there. Emma tried once more to reconcile. Showed up unannounced. Promised transparency. Promised therapy. Promised everything. I looked at her and felt nothing. "I don't hate you," I said. "But I don't know you anymore." She left quietly that time. The last I heard, Mark stepped up. They were trying to make it work. I wished them well, genuinely, because holding on to anger felt like letting them win twice. Now, a year later, my life looks different. Not better, not worse, just honest. I don't rush love anymore. I ask harder questions. I listen to my gut. Sometimes, I still hear her voice saying, "I didn't mean to cheat." But now I understand something she never did. Intent doesn't erase impact. Love doesn't survive lees. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is walk away from a life that was never truly yours. I thought the story would end there. Clean break, quiet recovery, fade to black. That's what I told myself. But life doesn't stop just because you've decided to heal. About 4 months after the divorce was finalized, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost ignored it. I'd learned that most unexpected calls carried bad news. I answered anyway. "Hi. Is this Daniel?" a man asked. "Yes." There was a pause. A long one. "This is Mark." I closed my eyes. Of course it was. "I know you don't owe me anything," he said quickly, words tumbling over each other. "But I was hoping we could talk. Just once." Every instinct told me to hang up. But something else, curiosity, maybe closure, kept the phone at my ear. 5 minutes, I said. That's it. We met at a coffee shop halfway between our places. Neutral ground, public, safe. He looked smaller than I expected. Not physically, just diminished. Dark circles under his eyes, nervous hands. He stood up when I walked in. "Thanks for coming." I didn't sit right away. "Say what you need to say." He swallowed. "Emma told me everything. Or most of it. I didn't realize how much she lied. To both of us." I laughed softly. "Join the club." "No," he said, shaking his head. "You don't understand. She told me you knew, that you were okay with it, that you didn't want kids." That caught my attention. "She said you agreed to raise Noah together," he continued. "That it was some arrangement." Miyaf clenched. "She let me believe that," he said. "I swear, if I had known you still slept with a married woman," I cut in. He nodded. "I did. I own that." We sat down then. Silence stretched between us. "He's mine," Mark said quietly. "The test confirmed it." I nodded once. "I already knew." "I'm trying to be there for him," he said. "But I don't know how. He cries nonstop when Emma hands him to me. She says he used to be calm with you." That hurt more than I expected. "I'm not asking you to come back," he rushed. "I know that's impossible. I needed you to know that I see what she did now, and I'm sorry." I studied his face. There was guilt there, real guilt, but it didn't fix anything. "You didn't just take my wife," I said slowly. "You took a year of my life. You took first steps I'll never see again. First words, first birthdays." His eyes filled with tears. "I know," he whispered. I stood up. "For what it's worth," I said. "I hope you do right by him, because none of this is his fault." Then I walked out. After that meeting, something shifted inside me. Not relief, not forgiveness, acceptance. I stopped replaying every memory, searching for clues. Stopped asking myself how I didn't see it. Stopped blaming my younger self for trusting someone who didn't deserve it. Therapy helped. Time helped. Distance helped. So did honesty. I started telling people the truth when they asked what happened. Not the ugly details, just enough. "She cheated," I'd say, and lied about something big. Most people nodded. Some winced. A few asked questions I didn't answer. I learned that not everyone deserves the full story. About 2 years later, I met someone new. Her name was Lily. It wasn't fireworks. It wasn't instant. It was calm, slow, respectful. On our third date, she asked me something that surprised me. "What scares you most in a relationship?" I didn't deflect. I didn't joke. "I'm afraid of building a future on something fake," I said. She nodded. "That's fair." I told her everything a few weeks later. The marriage, the baby, the test. She didn't interrupt, didn't minimize, didn't rush to fix it. When I finished, she reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "That sounds unbearable," she said simply. I almost cried. I don't know what happened to Emma in the long run. We don't talk. We don't follow each other. Our lives are separate planets now. Once, a mutual friend told me she struggled after everything came out. Lost friends, lost trust at work, had to move. I felt neutral. Karma isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself. Sometimes it just looks like living with your own choices. As for Noah, I still think about him. Probably always will. Sometimes I imagine him older, wondering why a man he doesn't remember left his life so early. I hope someone tells him the truth someday. Gently, honestly. I hope he knows he was loved. Not conditionally, not mistakenly, just genuinely. Looking back, the DNA test didn't destroy my life. The lie did. The test just told the truth faster than time would have. I used to think betrayal was about anger, about rage and revenge. Now I know it's about grief. Mourning the future you believed in. Letting go of a version of yourself that trusted without fear. I didn't come out of this stronger. I came out clearer, and sometimes That's better, because closure isn't always peace. Sometimes it's clarity. I thought clarity would feel like relief. It didn't. It felt like standing in a quiet room after a fire alarm stops. The danger's over, but your ears are still ringing. Your body hasn't caught up yet. Lily and I took things slow, painfully slow by modern standards. No rushing labels, no moving in together, no promises we couldn't keep. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel like I had to prove anything. Still, the past has a way of resurfacing when you least expect it. It happened on an ordinary Tuesday. I was leaving work when I saw Emma's name flash across my phone. I stared at it like it was a ghost. We hadn't spoken in almost 3 years. I let it ring. Then she texted, "Please, I need to talk to you. It's about Noah." My chest tightened instantly. I called her back. She answered on the first ring. "Thank you," she said, breathless. "I didn't think you would." "What's wrong?" I asked. She hesitated. I could hear traffic in the background. A car door slam. "He keeps asking for you." The words hit me harder than I expected. "Asking for me?" I repeated. "He's 4 now," she said quietly. "He saw an old photo. One of you holding him. He asked who you were." I closed my eyes. "What did you tell him?" "That you were someone who loved him once." My grip on the phone tightened. "And now?" I asked. She exhaled shakily. "Now he keeps asking why you don't come around anymore." I didn't respond. "I'm not asking you to be his father," she rushed. "I know I have no right. I just thought, maybe a letter? Or something? Closure? Closure." That word again. I leaned against my car, the cold metal seeping through my jacket. "You want me to explain adult betrayal to a 4-year-old? I asked. "No," she said quickly. "Just kindness. Something gentle." I thought about Noah's laugh, his tiny hands, the way he used to fall asleep on my chest like it was the safest place in the world. And I thought about Lily, the life I was building now, the wounds that had finally started to scar over. "I'll think about it," I said. "Thank you," Emma whispered. "I really am sorry." I ended the call without responding. That night, I told Lily everything. She listened quietly, knees tucked under her, eyes soft but steady. "What do you want to do?" she asked when I finished. "I don't know," I admitted. "Part of me wants to protect myself. The other part still cares about a kid who never did anything wrong." She nodded. Those two things don't have to cancel each other out. That stayed with me. A week later, I sat at my desk with a blank piece of paper. I stared at it for hours. What do you say to a child who once called you dad without ever saying the word? I finally started writing, not as an explanation, as a memory. "Hi Noah, you don't know me, and that's okay. But a long time ago, I got to be someone who cared about you very much. I used to hold you when you slept. You were small, but you made the world feel big. Sometimes people come into our lives for a little while, and sometimes they leave. That doesn't mean the love wasn't real. I hope you grow up kind, curious, brave, and I hope you always know that you were never the reason someone left." I didn't sign it, Dad. I signed my name. I mailed it and felt something loosen inside me. Months passed. No follow-up, no response. And honestly, that was fine. Then, one afternoon, I got another call. This time from a number I recognized. My mother. "Have you heard?" she asked. "Heard what?" "Emma and Mark split up." I closed my eyes. No, I hadn't. "It was messy," she said. "Infidelity. Again. I felt no satisfaction, no vindication, just a quiet confirmation of something I already knew. Patterns don't change unless people do. That night, Lily and I sat on the balcony watching the city lights flicker on. "Do you ever wish you'd never known?" she asked gently. "About the test?" I thought about it, about the lie I'd been living in, about the life that looked perfect from the outside. "No," I said finally. "The truth hurt, but the lie would have hollowed me out." She smiled softly and leaned her head on my shoulder. A year later, Lily and I got engaged. Small ring. No big announcement. Just us. When she asked if I wanted kids someday, my answer surprised even me. "Yes," I said, "but only if it's built on honesty." She squeezed my hand. "That's the only way I know how to live." Sometimes, late at night, I still think about the moment Emma cried and said, "I didn't mean to cheat." I used to replay it, dissect it, argue with it in my head. Now, I just see it for what it was. A refusal to take responsibility, because meaning not to hurt someone doesn't undo the hurt. And love without truth is just performance. I didn't lose my wife that day. I lost an illusion, and in its place, I gained something quieter, stronger, a life that doesn't require denial to survive. The clarity I gained didn't come with fireworks. No dramatic confrontation, no sweeping revenge, just quiet mornings, slow smiles, and a life rebuilt on honesty. Lily and I settled into a rhythm that felt human. Simple dinners, lazy weekends, unhurried conversations about everything and nothing. It was nothing like my marriage with Emma, and that was the point. One morning, I walked past a small park near my apartment and saw a little boy playing with a puppy. He reminded me of Noah, a little too much. My chest tightened. For a moment, I wondered if he would have called me Dad, if he would have wanted me there. And then I remembered the letter. I had no way of knowing if he understood it, but maybe, just maybe, it planted a seed that someone had cared deeply for him, that he was loved even when life had been unfair. That was enough for me. Emma tried to reach out a few more times over the years. A message here, a call there. Each one I read carefully and then deleted. I wasn't cruel. I was protecting what I had left of my life. Mark appeared occasionally in social media photos. Noah smiling at his birthday party. Pictures of them as a family. Part of me wanted to feel anger. Part of me wanted to feel relief. Mostly, I felt nothing. It was their choice now, their consequences to live with. I realized something about betrayal. It's not about punishment. It's about learning who you are when everything you believed collapses. It's about walking through the wreckage and refusing to be defined by the people who hurt you. Lily and I had a small wedding. Friends and family. Quiet laughter. No strings. No illusions. No performances. Just people who loved us. As I held her hand, looking at her eyes glimmering in the soft sunlight, I thought of Noah, of Emma, of everything that had hurt me and changed me. I whispered to myself, I survived it all, and I'm still here. The DNA test that had once felt like a weapon became a symbol, not of betrayal, not of loss, but of truth, of clarity, of life stripped to what mattered. We don't get to choose the pain we face, but we can choose what to carry forward. And I chose honesty. I chose love that could last. I chose life that wasn't built on lies. Sometimes at night, I think about that moment again, the one that started it all. Emma crying, saying, I didn't mean to cheat. I don't feel rage anymore. I don't even feel the heartbreak so sharply. Now, I feel a strange kind of gratitude. Gratitude for the wake-up call. For the life lessons I didn't know I needed, because the truth is brutal. And yet, it sets you free. I didn't lose a wife that day. I lost an illusion, and in that loss, I found myself. I found the courage to demand honesty, to demand respect, to rebuild a life that was mine and mine alone. No shortcuts, no pretending, no compromises on what I deserved. I learned something vital. The people who betray you may never understand the damage they caused, but you don't need them to. Closure isn't a conversation. Closure isn't revenge. Closure is distance. Distance that lets you breathe again. Sometimes it's easier to forgive yourself than anyone else. I didn't lose my child, because love isn't measured by biology. I didn't lose my life, because life is what you do with what remains. And most of all, I didn't lose myself, because the hardest truths give the clearest paths, and I finally walked mine.